Hey everybody, welcome back. Live at Drew's house, another edition, Joppa Afternoon Drive from our Newburyport studios. Hope you are all doing well. Ending one year, moving into another here. Unbelievable. It's cold outside and it's winter in New England. That's how it works. Hope you're all doing well out there. Holiday season, all good and all that stuff. Mike Perrotta is our guest today of the Newburyport Tennis Club. First time on the show. We love having first timers. Mike, how are you, sir?
Good, and thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I know. Well, people are probably wondering, like, interesting tennis talk during the winter, but hey, this is the perfect time to talk tennis, first of all, because people that love the game like me. I talk about it all the time. It's my favorite sport. People who love the game like me, we tend to try to play in the winter time.
Absolutely.
And but you can do that with tennis. You got some great courts over there. The former, you guys took over, it's a new management the last few years. So give us the whole story.
Sure. Opened up 72, 73.
Wow.
Called Racket Club of Newburyport.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, after the previous ownership sold, Byron Matthews, the former mayor, and his partner Jonathan Woodman.
Sorry.
And his partner Jonathan Woodman sold.
Yep.
And they were purchased by new ownership. The new ownership also local. Dr. Darrell Colden, Kristen Tallman, his wife, Gary Gassman, who's the director over at Link House, and his wife, who's involved in helping people out with mental issues, named Dr. Laura Goldberg.
All right.
So it's a good group.
And you were the transition guy, so you were...
I was very fortunate to be accepted within the new ownership, because you never know what a new ownership might do.
Yeah.
But they've been very good to me, very nice to me, and more importantly, great for the community. They've been really great. The club is really very inclusive. And one of the phrases that we use at the club since they took over is to be family tennis.
Ah, nice.
Anybody, any age, any level, and that's what we're doing over there.
All right.
And it's going really, really well.
And you are a tennis guy at heart. So when people people go to your place, you're not just running things. You are a tennis coach. You got a long history. Tell us a little bit about that tennis history. I know you coached in college, but
from Rhode Island. Originally played at Rhode Island. Played at a high level in high school. Played college at Rhode Island College. Was very fortunate to coach my old high school alma mater and be involved with some high level players many years ago. Wow. And then transitioned to college coaching for a few years, Johnson, Wales.
Yeah.
At that time when I was coaching was the old days of fun coaching, which was a club team turning to a regular team, and we didn't even have tennis courts when I was coaching. So we'd have to borrow people's courts and we're driving around in a big bus to have people play, and we had a ball doing it. It's one of those things. It was almost like barnstorming to find places to play.
Oh, my goodness.
We had a very good team. It was fun, and then I came to the North Shore in 1997. And I've been here ever since.
All right, never left. Okay, I want to talk a little more college tennis in a second, but that is one of the pet peeves I have about Newburyport. The athletic director is going to laugh at me right now because Kyle Hodgson over there at Newburyport, he always laughs at me. He goes, I know, it's a big deal, but they only have 4 courts for the high school kids.
Correct.
And which, as you know, there's 5 points, 5 matches that need to be played at the high school level. Very long days at the high school level with just 4 courts. That's I keep telling Kyle, we got to get a 5th court in Newburyport.
Well, and in theory, a lot of times if you see any high school anywhere in the last 20 years, most of the time they have 6 to 8 courts attached somewhere to the school or land across the street or something like that.
Because that's the deal. They have to be there. You can't play like 2 at,
Very difficult. And in a way, you say, it'd be great to have 4 or 5 courts. It'd be really good to have 6 or 8, so some of the kids that aren't the starters would get a chance to play. In fact, for people like myself, when I was younger, one of the reasons why I got a chance to get better was we played at facilities at 6 courts or 8 courts. Yeah. So if you weren't one of the starters, you could be one of the people that would play after the starters finished, varsity. And
those JV kids are sitting on the side watching a lot.
Yeah, they don't get a chance to play. And we've been fortunate at Newburyport Tennis Club, allowing some of them to come in.
Oh, have you? Cool.
Yes, we've done that. My tennis director, Kelly Willett, very, very good, has invited some of them during the season to come in complimentary, come in and play, so that if they could practice or play a little bit while the other team is playing, or those courts are being used, because there's just not that many courts.
Wow, that's great. I'm happy I brought that up because I did not even know that. All right, so that's cool. So a lot of the high school kids are coming in. I mean, it's kind of a different brand of tennis too. I mean, everybody knows tennis, knows indoor tennis versus outdoor tennis is different, but it's good to learn indoor because it's a lot of times you get older and that's what you end up playing so much of, right? I mean, around here you can play summertime, of course, all summer, but I know I'm always looking to play indoor, and it's a little bit of a different game. It's good to learn when you're young a little bit.
Absolutely. In fact, if you're going to learn the game, one of the advantages of learning indoors is you're not dealing with sun, rain, leaves, wind. all of those things that can make it a little bit distracting when you first start playing. It's
Right.
hard enough to learn anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine trying to learn the piano on top of Mount Everest or something like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I like that. Well said. Yeah.
But for tennis, a lot of times people that do come indoors, they'll
Yeah.
like it even more than outdoors, but they'll do both. I mean, it's fairly common for people to learn indoors and then move out to outdoors at local schools or their own courts or something
Great
like
to
that.
learn in the elements, but you're right. Controlled setting, probably good for the fundamentals a little bit. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that is cool. A little bit more about the college tennis. So what are so many of these big time players, right, are skipping the college level, like
Yes.
the prodigies, you know? And I keep hearing that as being a debate because for a while, if you're going to go pro, you went pro and didn't play college. Now you're starting to see a lot of, especially American guys, kind of play the college level. And, you know, I'm going to do a couple of years. What's your overall thought? I'm
I
curious.
think playing college is better. I think one of the things that has happened, people, let's go 20, 25, 30 years ago, when the Ed Bergs and the Boris Beckers and players like that were playing at a pro level at 15, 15F, 16, and some younger female players, Jennifer Capriati, et cetera. As we've got better into figuring things out from a sports medicine standpoint, I think the college has helped these players.
Yeah.
I think being there for a year or 2 or 3 helps them to be faster, quicker, stronger, learn about diet and all of those things that they may not learn about on their own if they're a struggling pro.
Yeah.
Now you go to college, a little bit of a big fish in a little pond, and then you can take the next step.
Yeah.
We see it in basketball for college basketball. We see it in the pros for football. I think it's tricky to just go from high school or amateur tennis. Now I'm going to get on a plane and go play some tournament in Zurich. You know, good luck. I think that's a big swing.
There's some disaster stories there too, of course.
100%
And
correct.
unfortunately, they're very well publicized. But you know, just while your tennis prime is young, you know, it's like your body's in the best shape to play tennis at a younger age than most sports or industries. But also, you're still a kid so many times, and you're right, making the travel and all the stuff that goes with the tennis can be hard on.
You could also make a point without me being a doctor, which I am not.
Yeah.
For many, many years, we've seen a lot of female, the women's tennis players, get almost broken down.
Yeah.
And you're finding out, she was playing pro or semi-pro at 14 or 15, and now they're 23 or 24, and it's almost like, well, maybe they should have let them get a little bigger and stronger. And we've seen some of the male players, I mean, from the James Blakes and other players, their careers didn't last that long.
Yeah.
And you wonder if everybody started a little later, maybe with Federer playing as long as he did. People will start thinking, well, my career doesn't end at 30 or 31. Why don't I start it at 25?
Right.
And I'll probably be better off.
Yeah. James Blake, had a buddy of mine bump into him overseas, and they were watching, I think it was either Celtics championship or a Patriots Super Bowl. I can't remember, but my buddy was a tennis guy too, and he goes up to James Blake. He said, "Nicest guy in the world."
I heard very, very good things about him. I've never met him, but I wish I did.
He had a good career, but you're right, a short career as well. Federer, he just retired. We should talk about him a little bit. What did he mean to the game of tennis?
I think he changed the game in the last 20 years. We've seen Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, as they call the big three now.
Yeah.
But it was Nadal. Federer who changed that transition after Agassi and Sampras, where there might not have been anybody to watch.
Yeah.
And he was so good and so smooth, and he was just so gracious that it brought back a lot of memories of what tennis is, being a gentleman's sport.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people watching, they just couldn't wait to watch him play because he was so good.
Yeah.
And I think when people go back to those early 2000s, late 90s, and seeing him do all the things he did, for a lot of people, it's their favorite player.
Yeah, and I think the Rafa rivalry. I mean Djokovic too, but I know. If you're like me, I hold that Rafa Roger rivalry just as that's what Roger got me into tennis. Rafa made me love it, is what I always
Absolutely
said.
correct.
You know, and it's just for that rivalry for me, it was just everything.
In tennis, it's the greatest, men's rivalry of all time. For women's players, probably Everett and Navratilova.
Yeah.
So think of the men's as to being a long rivalry. I mean, we had Connors versus McEnroe, we had McEnroe-Borg, but they were short-lived rivalries.
Yeah.
Rivalry with Federer and Nadal lasted over 10 years at a high level.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool. You know what I loved? I loved Rafa during one of the, I think it was the French Open when he was, during the pandemic, that quiet one when the fans weren't allowed, and he beat Djokovic fairly easily. And Djokovic had called Rafa my biggest rival, and Rafa refused to answer anything close to that. And he just played it off, clearly out of respect for Roger.
Of course.
Because he knows there was this other guy he battled for, years before Novak. So I always liked that answer. I thought that was a classy response from Rafa as usual as well. But
yes, both him and Roger were probably as classy you'll ever find in the game.
At the same time, at the prime of their careers, it's quite a thing.
It is. I mean, very rare, and we'd be fortunate to see it again.
And it frustrates me a little bit. And I don't know, this kind of gets me on the topic I did want to talk to you a little bit about, because for me, I'm a guy who loves. I want to grow the game. I want kids to. I want to see all the courts packed all the time during the summertime.
Sure.
I want, I just want to see kids playing. I don't see enough of it. We do okay, but I don't. I mean, I had a kid ask me who Rafael Nadal was, and he's 12 years old the other day, and he's been playing tennis for a few months now, at least with me. I'll hit a note there. And I'm just wondering, like, the kids don't know who Rafael Nadal is. I can't imagine a kid not knowing who Michael Jordan was.
I know.
And it frustrates me. And I think it's because, if you look around, you got to search to find tennis. You got to find it on TV.
Correct.
It's not in your face. And I wonder, are we getting that wrong as a country? How do we pick this up a little bit?
It's interesting, but I think a lot of people, it's great that they're playing.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if they're watching too.
Because you learn stuff, too.
You do learn stuff. And I think for other sports like football, baseball, and basketball, hockey, kids will play, but also learn by watching the games. And I think for tennis, it's never grabbed kids to watch. It grabs adults to watch.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because a lot of times I know at the club, one of my pros, Brett Maniloff, who does a lot of work with the juniors, him and Courtney Gilman do a great job. They'll take the kids upstairs and they'll show them on our big TV watching matches and what's going on. Because if you're trying to learn how to play, you got to learn how to play correctly. And they'll show them certain points and things they're doing. And a lot of these kids have mentioned, I never watched a tennis match before.
Yeah.
And they're playing. And they've played for years, like you said, a few years or a few months.
Yeah.
And I think they'll start watching more. But I think, unfortunately, they'll be watching at the wrong time because they'll have missed Nadal and Federer, which would have been great for anybody to watch.
But, you flip through the channels and, you can see a basketball game on 20 different stations. And
Correct.
You don't get that with tennis here. Unfortunately, in the majors, it's sometimes hard to find your favorite player if you have favorites. But my niece, who's like eight now, I think. I put on a Rafa match for her earlier this year, and I was the fist pump and the vamos, and who's that?
To watch someone like him play is very exciting. And the one good thing is TV like that lasts forever.
Yeah.
So if some of these kids, you go back, it's too far to go back and show them 60s or 70s or even 80s.
Right.
But to go 10 years to 2012, it's not that far back to watch somebody like Rafa and Federer have this great match at Wimbledon or something.
So in 10 years, I'm going to be the old guy talking about how this guy when I was...
Yeah, that's when they'll shake their head a little bit.
I know, Drew. I know. He was great. That's how that'll go. Again, Mike Perrotta joining us, Newburyport Tennis Club. All right, let's bring it back to the local a little bit because so we enter the winter season here, and I wonder, I already see the pickleball thing right there. I know that is sweeping the nation right now. Let's talk a little bit of pickleball.
Sure, it's huge everywhere. You're hearing more and more about it. The director of our pickleball program, Deb Binder, is in California right now.
So you guys have your own pickleball program?
We do.
So most tennis clubs these days? Or
I think it's still tricky because there's a rivalry between tennis and pickleball.
There is a little
members
bit,
and the players and staff, and you have to find the synergy to make that happen.
Yeah.
We had a small outdoor parking lot, which wasn't getting used. It was an auxiliary lot. So when you got really stuffed, people would use it. And it just happened to be the size to allow 3 pickleball courts.
Yeah.
So the first time we let people play, we didn't do anything to it, and it was kind of pitted and not great shape. But it was a place for people to play.
Yeah.
Because a lot of pickleball people are very voracious to play. You hear stories and seen YouTube videos of playing in the winter, shoveling a court or a driveway and playing at all these weird times with a picture, but they love it. So we let them play free, no charge, just play. Here's a chance to play, see what you like. And people liked it so much, said, wait a minute, why don't we clean that up? So we surfaced it. People liked it last summer, and we've just added another court, which will open up in May, and we'll have 4 outdoor pickleball courts. It'll be beautiful. It'll be a nice pickleball-only venue, not shared with tennis or anything.
Okay.
And hopefully more and more people will keep on playing. Deb Binder, the director of the program, has done a great job, contacting, reaching out to get people. And I think, if I remember correct, we probably got like 800 people on a mailing list.
Wow.
Through emails and stuff of all the people that have shown interest and participated and have come through learn and play classes. You can learn in maybe 30 minutes and have a chance to play it. It's this great combination of tennis and ping pong. So it's great for even older players who maybe used to play tennis and now maybe it's tougher for them to play. Tough
Smaller
to cover the court.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And people enjoy it and it's fun and it's very social.
Yeah.
A lot of people will show up. You have 30 people showing up on 2 or 3 courts, and they'll rotate through, kind of like when I was a kid rotating on a basketball court
Right.
and playing pickup games. And they like it. They call it open play, and a lot of people really do enjoy it.
Huh. All right. So you guys designated an area. I didn't realize people are shoveling courts off to play in the wintertime.
I got a video last year on YouTube of someone, it might have been like New Year's Day.
Really?
And it was, I don't know where the parking lot was, and it showed the video of shoveling it off and then put down a net and was playing. And it was cold out, but people really like it. And there's not a lot of indoor facilities yet. There's some, but they're not as popular yet where people can just drive in the car and just go to any indoor place to play pickleball.
Can people bring a shovel to Newburyport? Or
You do not have to do that because we've offered indoor pickleball now.
Here we go. Okay,
Because we have a 6-court facility, 4 courts on one side, 2 on the other.
Okay.
So the 2 side is very easy to transition. We tape some lines, put down some nets, and we're allowing people to play.
Nice.
In fact, the 4-court side pickleball is becoming so popular. We're now having people on the 4-court side some days on Sundays, and it's really popular for all levels. People really like it, and it's not hard to set all that up for people.
I was going to say, there was a time not too long ago when a tennis club the idea of having a sport like pickleball take over those prized tennis courts would be not even here listening to it.
I don't disagree with that. I think it's very difficult to understand that it's a different sport, just needing that location.
Yeah.
And if people can just, play with each other and work it out.
Coexist.
Coexist is a great word. We're not trying to make it seem like a Star Trek episode or anything like that. But relatively speaking, I think the key is if people play both sports, then they understand both sides. And there's no reason why people can't just play, get along, have fun, and enjoy the process of doing that. I mean, since the unfortunate pandemic, people need sports, and they need to play something. And for a while, some people weren't allowed to play or couldn't play. So we want to be all-inclusive. Pickleball, tennis, let people come and play, all ages, all levels.
It is. I mean, it looks like a fun. People ask me, like, I'm surprised you don't play pickleball. You're such a tennis guy. And I say, there's only so much time in the day.
That's correct.
I play tennis. Like, if I'm going to go play pickleball, it would be taking away from tennis time for me.
That's true.
So that's just where I'm at in my life. But it's, a different stage in life. I'm probably different,
And I also think what you'll see in the next 5 years is, since pickleball is becoming bigger, you're going to start seeing programs at local parks and recs, youth services and stuff like that, where pickleball will start to become like a junior sport.
Because it's probably appealing to the kids.
Yes.
You can make fewer mistakes than in tennis.
And it's fun to see because it's going kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
You're a younger age. It's outdoors or indoors. When I grew up, I learned tennis through a park and rec program, complimentary free program, at the local park, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And now we haven't had that for pickleball. But now that pickleball is big for adults, most likely, like in anything, the transition will be, now kids will start playing, and we'll probably offer some junior programs this summer on our outdoor courts for the kids to start learning, for those that want to play. Maybe like a 3-hour camp, 1 or 2 weeks during the summer.
Yeah, whenever mom and dad are so into something, kids tend to follow, right?
They sure do.
Man, well, it's great. So the pickleball thing is fascinating. And we were talking off the air before we started. I mean, we're seeing it on TV now. I saw it on CBS at one point on
Absolutely.
a weekend
Did that
day.
pickled special with a lot of celebrity people that are out there playing. They have fun, and I think that's one of those connection things. Once again, when I grew up watching tennis, I saw it on TV first.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it on TV. I saw, pros and celebrities playing. I'm like, I want to try this.
So you're looking at this too. I mean, I can already get the impression that you think, I mean, you're all pro pickleball, like I am. It can probably lead to a gateway to tennis at some point too, for kids especially.
We'd like to see people do both of the sports.
Yeah.
I do know some people have transitioned from tennis to pickleball, and that happened 5 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
And those were older players who couldn't do tennis anymore, and were really bummed. And pickleball was a great outlet.
Yep.
We also have some players that are doing both sports. I think the next thing that will happen will be the kids doing both sports too.
Yeah, no kidding. And then you have the paddle, which is a whole, just even different than pickleball.
It is.
Yeah, so they're different sports.
Yes, and I think there's another version of a sport that's almost a combination, both called padel. It's a European sport or something like that. So there are more and more of these paddle sports that are growing up all over the place on smaller courts or mid-sized courts.
Racket in hand, I'm good. All right.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Again, Mike Perrotta joining us here of the Newburyport Tennis Club, the beautiful facility right here. Not every community gets a great indoor tennis facility like yours.
Don't.
It's I know mine. I'm from Danvers.
Correct.
I've been there my whole life. We don't have one. We used to have one.
We did. When I came to North Shore in '97, I worked at the club in Danvers.
Oh, yeah, the bubble.
Used to be called Racket Time, which transferred then to Gold's Gym, and then it became known as the Bubble. On Prince Street, behind McDonald's, they had the 4 courts and then the 2 courts of Bubble.
My grandmother played there until she was 86 years old.
And that's not uncommon whenever that happened, 20 years ago or so, or 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like anything else, that was one of those tennis clubs that closed.
Yeah.
And it was sad for a lot of people that like tennis. And unfortunately, I remember being there. It was a club where I first came here, and I was there 5 years.
Yeah.
And I went somewhere else after, only because it closed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of players, a lot of pros, a lot of people are loyal to the tennis club.
Yeah.
Once you're there, you like staying there.
It's true. I mean, I tell my mother that too. I mean, she has passed away, my grandmother, but I tell my mother that there was a clear moment and she stopped playing just because of health reasons.
Sure.
Just couldn't do it anymore. But there was a clear kind of, I don't want to say downfall, that sounds wrong, but there was she stopped playing tennis and a little bit of joy in life was taken away, and you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, if that situation happened now, she now would have that outlet of pickleball.
Yeah.
Which has happened to a lot of people that went, well, maybe she pushed tennis to 86 because there wasn't, but maybe at 76, pickleball was there. Maybe she would have picked that up.
What was it? You mentioned social, right? That was a lot of it too. She liked going with her friends to the bubble, as you said, and they would all hang out together.
They would.
Yeah.
And it was a very social environment, for that tennis. In fact, pickleball is very, very social.
Yeah.
And they hang around with each other, and they know each other, and they get on these apps, and they check each other's out and what's going on and where they're playing, what they're doing. They do play. The pickleball player seems to play, I think, 5 times a week.
Wow.
The tennis player was always 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But the pickleball player loves playing, and they just want to play as much as possible.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Very good. The pickleball player loves playing. That's
they do. They really do.
Very good. So what else is going on at the club here? Do you have? I mean, obviously pickleball is one section, but
Sure.
I see a lot of pamphlets over there.
We do. We have a high school program. We make sure a lot of those high school kids, as you know here, are very fortunate. The Danvers girls high school team, state champions.
Yeah.
We like to think we had a little something to do with it, just a little. That some of the kids come and they play and they come through the club, and we certainly welcome any high school player. We offer prep programs for that. We offer programs for adults.
Here, you can hand those over. I'll
sure.
Hold
There's a high school program that we have for people playing.
Am I holding that right? Nope, I'm kind of going upside down. Well done, Drew. Hold it up, right side up. There you go. Nice pamphlet.
This is where everybody starts.
All right.
Right now, we've probably got 300 different participants playing in that what we call compression ball program. Red ball for the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, and orange ball for 7 up to 10, and then the green ball program. Different compression each ball, which makes it a little easier for each kid to hit. A lot of fun. It's where a lot of kids, start playing before they get involved in the high school program.
It is great. I mean, I ended up I was playing enough to be, I played high school tennis and everything, but I still wish I started earlier.
I do too.
I do. I mean, I was playing Little League, and everybody played baseball, and that was just kind of the thing you did.
You played baseball and basketball.
Right.
Some people played football or hockey.
Yep.
But that's what you played. Tennis was something.
Nobody forced a racket in my hand.
No, tennis was an extra thing.
Yeah.
Played at the park because you were there, and it was 2 PM. The baseball game was over.
Right.
And there was no one to play basketball with.
Yeah. And what are the rules? I don't. People are always wondering, like, that's a thing for kids, right? It's like the scoring's weird.
Yes.
I don't quite get it. Like, that's a thing. And,
I agree.
It doesn't take much. I always say, like, if you want to just, really focus in, and you'll figure it out, and watch, right? If you watch, you get it, which is another thing we've been complaining about.
No, I wish people did do more of that. I think, and it's not making Newburyport a bad guy or anything like that.
Yeah.
I wish there were more outdoor courts.
Yeah.
Because if there's outdoor courts, sometimes families or kids will try something. You'll go to that court, you drive your bike there, you ride your bike there, and you say, let me go and play something.
Yeah.
It's tougher when there's not as many outdoor courts.
Yeah. True. And I mean, a lot of the courts, I know you're noticing, you have to, I actually hated to see this. What's your take on this, actually? Why not? We'll just ask the question straight up. They have the program there for the outdoor courts. I forget even who runs it, but whatever. You can reserve court time. And I've seen, like, I played in Reading one night, and then they had it, just a meeting, and I literally saw it. And luckily, I didn't get kicked off because I just got lucky and happened to be on a court that wasn't reserved. But I saw these kids that were, like, legitimately playing doubles and, like, kind of learning the game. And, 2 guys came over and said, this is our court, and kind of unceremoniously said, get off our court.
And I've seen it happen, too.
Oh, no, man. Like, don't kick off 4 12-year-olds who are actually doing it.
I've seen it happen at Peabody High. I've seen it happen at Danvers when I used to go over there and was teaching outdoors or playing with kids. And I even saw it, in Salem and Marblehead and stuff like that.
We got noises.
I have no idea where that's coming. Oh, that might be coming from my jacket. I certainly
is that your phone?
I think I certainly
a little rock and roll theme. I like that.
Absolutely, a tribute to the band.
Well, it's a good conversation.
Late Levon Helm.
Yes, one of my favorite drummers.
My favorite drummer by far.
Your favorite drummer.
Not even close.
I got a good Levon story, actually. I was going to let him go for a little bit. That's good. So his little what do they call it? In Woodstock, the barn, the Levon Helm barn.
Yes, yes.
So I went up there for just to hang out in Woodstock, a little getaway with my wife, middle of the woods. We were just looking to get away, and I said, "Oh man, we're a mile from Levon's place." And Levon had passed away at this point, but and then I looked at the schedule. Oh, there's like guys from the band are playing over there tonight, and it's like a mix of Bob Dylan guys and the band guys, and they travel around. I forget what they travel around with, but just professional musicians. I drove up to the thing, and I realized this thing's been sold out for like 16 months. It's just it's a small place.
You'd have to sneak in,
and there's no like tickets or anything. So you literally drive down. I see a line of cars going through the woods, like almost at a main campsite.
Yes.
You see the lights. I was all right. We'll get in line. We'll go see. There's somebody there that takes your tickets from your car as you drive in. And I said, I'm just going to be honest with you. I just wanted to see what the whole thing was. I don't have tickets, just big fan of the thing. And, I can turn around. And she goes, hang on one second. comes back to me. She goes, 2 people earlier today said they have a sickness in the family. They can't do the show. They wanted to make sure I gave it to somebody who really appreciated them. 2 tickets for you guys. Here you go.
My God.
So it was just such a great thing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that was it. And we had a great night in Levon's barn, and it's just an awesome place.
I'm going to look that up later. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's right in Woodstock, which is not where the Woodstock
it's different
was.
Woodstock.
Yeah, it's the Woodstock group was.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, but that's my Levon Helm story.
So I apologize about the phone, but I'm glad I heard the Levon
Helm. Yeah, it's led to another.
Story. That's fantastic.
I like those little things on the show. That's fun.
One of the other things I did want to mention about tennis at the club, and this is one of the things that sometimes you get intimidated.
Yeah.
You want to go to a club, you want to try something out. We offer a lot of adult programs, all levels.
Oh, good.
Especially for beginners.
Yeah.
A lot of people are adult, just like a 30 or 40-year-old, and they've done fitness or surfed or rode bikes, and maybe their kids play, and they want to pick it up. But you get kind of nervous, and you don't want to just go in and
bunch of regulars there. Yeah.
Yes, and I think we're offering more and more adult programmings. Joan Druin, who's been another pro of ours, does a great job with a lot of the adults coming in and learning the game and then playing the game. We offer a lot of middle of the day stuff. We also offer a Friday night social kind of thing where people show up. It's an adult clinic. All levels, all ages, you can just drop in. So we've been offering more adult programs too.
How do you guys usually, I think people are always, they hear a lot of programs, but they're always wondering, like, so what does that mean? Am I like hitting a couple balls and getting back in line, or am I playing people?
I would absolutely, we'd have multiple courts, usually 4 people on a court. You got a pro feeding your balls, showing you things, and half the time you're doing that, and then the other half the time you're actually playing the game.
Okay, so a little bit
Absolutely,
everything.
They're great. Whether it's a 90-minute program or a 2-hour program, we want you to learn, but we also want you to play too.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because don't you find that people are like, so what exactly is the program though? Because it's like, I'm pretty decent. I just don't want to be hitting the ball and getting back in line. And
unfortunately, I remember when I was a kid, that's all you did.
Yeah,
you got in line and hit a ball. You had to go on your own to play. And I remember that, and I'm trying to do more of that at the club, which is let's get people playing.
There you go. All right. Again, we're joined here by Mike Perrotta, talking a little bit about the Newburyport Tennis Club down the street. And I mean, it must be thrilling for you. Like, I mean, I know the tennis player, it's getting cold. Not tennis season goes away here for a little bit, but just for you, it must be is relief the word to have these indoor courts?
It's great. I have to admit. I mean, we only have indoor.
Yeah.
So
do you live in Newburyport too?
I live in Peabody.
You live in Peabody. Okay. Oh, you're closer to me. We could have drove together.
Absolutely. Get right on the highway. Boom. Yeah. But during the winter, which, as we know in New England, is legitimately that September, October, the weather starts to turn. People can start coming indoors. Some people don't, but a lot of people do. In fact, for tennis programming, indoor programming, you're almost set up like a school.
Yeah. That
when September comes and kids go back to school, you're running your programs. Your summer programs are over with. We had a great summer. We have a partnership with Youth Services. So when we get to September, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And we go all the way September, May, June before we start summer programming again.
Wow. That's great. Do you feel you mentioned you got some of those high school kids in, you got some state champs there that have come through. I mean, it's such a cool thing. How is the passion? We talked a lot about the younger kids, but how about the high school kid, the kid that's actually playing? How's the passion at the high school level you finding?
A lot of the kids that play high school tennis are really passionate about it. They really enjoy playing. They almost can't play enough.
Yeah.
Even during this period of time when they have no team, no practice, there's nothing going on, they'll play 2-3 times a week. We offer programs during the day after school, and on the weekend we offer another complimentary program called Rally Time, where the kids get to come in, play for free, play with each other, and just have some fun at all levels. And we do that on Saturday afternoons.
It's so important to keep doing it too, because I always used to tell people, like, you've taught tennis, when I used to teach, especially even kids, parents would say, oh, it's that very beginner group and all that, and I was like, no, come on, they're good. It's like for me, I'm out here, and I'm feeding balls. If you come back to me, it's just I'm just seeing and hitting a tennis ball all day for me too. It's like I get weird, brains of the mechanic things that I just work on. It's just even with kids, that are just learning the game. It's like it's a good just to get out there and just keep the skills fresh or whatever.
Absolutely. I 10 years ago I had to give up teaching, and I'm doing just all managerial work, and I always miss it. It was fun to hit with kids or some of the ladies who played on teams, or some of the guys that were pretty good. And those are the things, you feel badly about once you give something up. You're like, geez, I wish I could still do that.
There's nothing better than when a kid finally gets it.
Gets the topspin forehand. Or gets that serve that he finally can control and put into play.
Oh, so finishing high does bring the ball down at the end.
Absolutely does. Yes.
Okay.
Pronate that rest. Little things that you tell people.
It's like when somebody gets it, there's nothing more rewarding than that. College, a couple college stories I'm curious about, because coaching college tennis at that high of a level can be, well, I know it's intense. What is it like going through those matches, watching some very tight, major pressure points? What's that like?
We were very fortunate in Johnson & Wales, and I used to tease a lot of the people I worked with at other clubs and other colleges, because Johnson Wales was does two things very, very well.
Yeah.
Besides all the things they do well, culinary arts and business administration.
Yeah.
And some of those were foreign business administration. So I had a team, the team that we did really well with, went undefeated one year, beat all our opponents. We had a great year. It was
good
tremendous.
coaching.
I think the coaching, I just got out of the way. We had a kid from Denmark. We had a kid from Spain. We had a kid from Iran. We had and we had all of these international players on the team, which made it really, really fun.
Yeah.
A couple of kids actually didn't speak English, so we had to get translators and do that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun to see these kids play at a high level. We were fortunate to play in the New Englands when they still had them, up at UConn, and played against some good players and some good teams, and you really find out what you could do.
Yeah.
But to play the teams we did and to go undefeated that last season, my last season coaching, was as cool as it gets.
Wow. So you went out on a high like that, huh?
I did go out on a high.
Good for you.
And then I came to the North Shore and then started teaching and having some fun doing that.
Awesome. Well, that is exciting. Because, I mean, at that point, when you're teaching college kids, it's our coaching college kids. That's, that is high level there.
I told someone once the trickiest part was just making sure I could pick them all up in the bus, because instead of a court that they had to go to, I had to go get them at their dorm or someplace else, usually the coffee shop, and then find them, like, where did he go today? Where did he? So it made it interesting, but they were all good personalities and it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, that's exciting. Congrats on the undefeated season there, a few years removed.
Oh, yeah. 25, 26 years ago.
I always said there's nothing for me. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe it's like a short putt in golf to win something, but like when you're talking about like, pressure serving like that, you mentioned serving for the kids, right?
Sure.
You're gonna like a second serve, and it's a must-have point. There's nothing more stressful than that to watch as a coach, right?
Second serve at 30-40 was always that little thing. You started to get that cement elbow, as a coach of mine used to say, and just got to get up and go get it.
A little tentative, yeah. It's good advice for kids, yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't try to aim that thing.
Go get it. Go hit it.
Trust those excellent skills you've learned. So who's your favorite player of all time?
Roger Federer.
It is Federer.
I grew up watching McEnroe and Borg, and I enjoyed them. Condos is always fun. But once you started seeing Roger Federer play and do all the things that he could do, and all the majors and all the surfaces, it was pretty neat.
There was a grace to him that
there was.
Even Rafa is great. I'm probably, like I said, Rafa made me love tennis, but Federer got me into it first. Watching Rafa, there's some of that electricity, but it's a grind with Rafa usually.
Yes, you could make a case that Federer was the best player to ever play, and Rafa was the toughest player to ever beat.
Yeah, well said,
because every single point against him literally was him battling. You would never get a free point against him.
Yeah,
and he proved that in those matches later in their careers when he started to beat, Roger a little bit more than Roger was beating him.
Yeah.
And you're watching them battle, counting those majors out.
A little tougher to hang in some of those points.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny. Kids, that's another thing kids ask me all the time, is they get confused when I say, well, Rafa on clay is, you tend not to beat Rafa on clay.
He didn't lose much on clay at all.
But kids will actually say to me around here, and I get it. Again, the lack of television exposure, I think, probably plays a role. But what do you mean clay?
I know.
And I'll say, well, there's 3 surfaces. Basically, you play on clay, hard court, grass. Grass? What? Like my lawn? Not quite like your lawn.
Correct. And then I think there's other weirder surfaces, I've been told. I've never seen them. In the Caribbean, because they get a lot of rain and stuff.
Yeah.
They play on some surfaces that are a combination of like stone, gravel, carpet, or something like that. Because once it rains, you wouldn't be able to play. They have these other kind of surfaces. And I'm like, really? I said, I got to see that.
Yes. I'll still work on my clay slide here.
I would like to work on my clay slide too, yes.
That's interesting. Wow, yes. But I mean, it's just a thing. Kids learn that stuff. And in a weird reason, I think that gets them interested too. Like, oh, they're different surfaces. And, for 8-year-olds praying, I would like to see that,
And to go back, way back, the U.S. Open used to be on clay, used to be on grass. Now it's hard court permanently. So they used to ask these trivia questions: who's the only person to ever win the U.S. Open on all 3 surfaces?
Yeah.
And those are like fun stuff like that where it doesn't happen anymore, and that's kind of too bad.
Have you done the U.S. Open New York trip? Or?
Unfortunately, as a professional teacher, your season starts in September. So you're kind of like signing people up, you're teaching, you're getting people involved. Yeah. The other things we offer at the tennis club, we have like contract time at night, ladies teams, all of these things that you have to do. I've never been fortunate enough to actually get a chance to go to the U.S. Open. I'm hoping one day I do. Yeah,
it's on my list too. I haven't done it myself, but that's good. So, and that's another thing too. Do we cover everything as far as like availability for adults and everything? You get team play. But
I think sometimes people forget there is team play. Some people really like competition. We offer team play for the ladies that in the morning and on the weekends.
Yep.
The men also on the weekends. Contract time, which is almost like the timeshare version of getting a chance to play every single week, the same day, the same time on the same court.
Yeah.
We offer that for people who have a chance to play. Usually people that are working come right from work and they'll go right to the tennis court and play their 90-minute, in-house match.
Yeah.
So we really are full catering facility for all of the things that tennis can offer at an indoor club.
Yeah, there's no better routine to get into when you're playing regularly, right? It's just
Every week, and sometimes twice a week. A lot of people do like to play twice.
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. And the pickleballers, man, 5 times a week. I need to learn more about this.
I hate to rat out my Deb Binder, director of pickleball, but I can tell you this: some days when she's in Florida, she'll play twice a day.
Oh, there you go.
8 o'clock in the morning, and then a new time pickleball. A little bit of a different group.
You're not fooling anybody, Deb. We got you.
Absolutely.
That's too funny. You know, you mentioned McEnroe quickly. I got a chance to, what was it, the Laver Cup came a couple of years ago to Boston?
Yes, it did.
So for WBZ in Boston, they sent me, the tennis reporter, de facto tennis reporter,
yes.
to go do it.
Good
you
job.
know what you're talking about. So it was, for me, it was sweet. You know what my favorite part about this? You'll get a kick out of this, right? So these guys are all doing their photo shoot, and they're supposed to meet the press afterwards, and there's like not a huge amount of press. It's like 4 of us there. Guy from the Boston Globe, who I know covers the Celtics, I know he doesn't know tennis. A couple others don't know tennis. Johnny McEnroe comes walking over, and everybody goes to him because of
course.
I'm looking, and I'm looking, and there's Daniil Medvedev right there, the man who just won the U.S. Open.
Yes.
Just standing there. It doesn't look really like, if you're in a suit, doesn't quite look like the U.S. Open champion.
I don't think he'd get picked up by many Americans unless they were tennis fans if he was just in the middle of the mall.
Unbelievable.
Wouldn't notice him.
So I walked over. Look, I have a second. Absolutely. He came over. We spoke for 15 minutes, just him and I. And I mean, he couldn't have been nicer. Like I know there's a lot of. He's kind of I wouldn't say polarizing. He's all right, but he does some stuff on the court.
I think there's also has to be a difference when someone's on the court competing, playing for these titles and championships, and then when you meet them by themselves.
He was so sweet.
I think you'll find out more of them are sweet than not sweet.
Yeah.
And on the court, they want to compete. They're alphas out there. They're going for it.
Remember him at the U.S. Open? He was taunting the crowd and boo me more. But I'm telling you, we talked about some stuff. We talked about the food in the North End. We talked about, I actually asked him how life has changed since he won the U.S. Open, and his answer was fascinating. He said, not much, honestly. Some people call you that didn't know had my number.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, like, who? And I think that answer, I know the answer was Vladimir Putin called him, and he said he didn't want to tell me that being in the United States.
Yes, it's
and
very
I just
tricky.
thought, I was like, this is a very fascinating conversation I'm having with you right now.
Yes,
and then I went over and talked to McEnroe. McEnroe was the one thing I wanted to ask McEnroe was more tennis to the United States. Why doesn't Boston have like a tournament, a challenge, or something here? Like,
yes,
which I would love to see personally. I'm sure you would, right?
Of course we would.
I mean, think about that. Like Laver Cup, they got good crowds in Boston, but if they just had a chance to go bring kids to, they have the team tennis they had the lobsters there.
They
right?
do.
That's a little bit, but it's a little bit different for me. I would like to see like the professional level.
It's kind of strange. In the 70s and 80s, there used to be professional events all the time.
Yeah.
You see stuff at Longwood. There was the cricket club. There was also something up in New Hampshire at one point, the Volvo, I think. And I just think things have changed so much where maybe the tennis tournaments have become too big, too sponsored, so they need bigger venues and bigger places.
And at those venues, though, especially when you look around the world and they're having them in whatever part of the country, they're half empty.
I know.
So that's the part. A
we
city
would
like
attend
Boston.
them well.
It's a Boston sports city.
Oh, we'd fill it. We fill everything.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's I have enough complaints about the tennis world too. If you probably notice that as we go, but it's all for the good of the game. I promise. Just because I'm passionate about it.
That should be the tagline for any time when you're talking about tennis. It's for the good of the game.
It's for the good of the game. There you go. I'll make a T-shirt. Mike Perrotta. Final couple minutes. We usually do a rapid fire with first time guests. So you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. First we'll start easy. Just roll with it. They're easy questions, and I think they're easy questions. Favorite food?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That is a good question.
Oh, it's tricky.
Well, as you get older, there's certain foods you like more. I still like a filet mignon.
All right, you like a filet. Very good. Favorite city in the world?
Boston.
That's fair. Yeah, we get that a lot. Favorite musician?
Levon Helm.
Is there?
I really do.
Yeah.
He's a close call with Eric Clapton because Eric Clapton plays guitar and Levon played drums. But I love the band. I think the band's music, if anybody knows anything about music, and they talk about all these great European stars from Clapton to Harrison to Elton John. It's not an accident that Elton John named that song Levon after Levon Helm.
No,
they really made a big impression, that band, from Kennedy and Levon Helm.
Oh, you got to do the Woodstock trip. You'd love that.
Oh, no, I'm already thinking, like, as I'm walking out the door, I'm Googling that pretty quick.
Yeah. I'll send you. I think I still got the video. I definitely have it
send me anything you have on that. It's great.
It was a cool thing to do. Favorite movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
I was a kid. I enjoyed that movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I watched it. I can tell this on this because no one will ever hold it against me. I think I've seen it 106 times.
Wow.
I do enjoy it. I just thought that was fun as a kid in '81. And I was working with kids at the time, and we'd go every Friday.
Okay.
One of those theaters that just kept on running it and running it and running it. And we'd almost know all the lines and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Great. Federer, you gave us as your favorite player.
Yes.
What's your favorite of the 4 majors to watch?
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon.
It's grass. It's different. It's fast. I've never been there.
Yeah.
But for the people, the British people with the strawberries and cream and sitting there in the dark beer, everything about it is just cool.
It is, yeah. And I used to, I used to always say Wimbledon. And you know what I think my grandmother did? Because my grandmother, I used to spend my summers in Maine a lot as a, just we have a house up there, and she would be up early and tennis would be on it. That time difference, it was always on in the morning. So I'd just watch it. She'd have breakfast and have it on, and I would watch it with her. So that's a memory I have like with my grandmother of watching tennis. So I always liked Wimbledon for that. And then Rafa made me love the French. I just loved the long points on clay.
Once you become a Rafa fan, it's hard not to like the French. I grew up as a kid, and I was very fortunate to live in Lincoln, Rhode Island, on a cul-de-sac road. Yeah. And in the back of my neighbor's house were blueberry trees. Those little bushes. Yeah. And in the morning before final, I didn't have strawberries, but I'd be doing blueberries and cereal and watching finals. And I remember watching like yesterday, Becker versus Lendl and rooting hard for Becker, when they showed it live, because there was a point when they used to see replays in the 70s. But I remember doing that, and it was the coolest thing.
That is cool. This will be the last rapid fire one. What is the best professional advice you ever received?
In business or sports?
Either.
In business, don't get caught up on paper.
Okay.
Work, do your thing. But too many people get caught up with the paper around them, or too many emails, or too many things. Do your job, put your head down, do the best you can.
There you go.
In sports, I think it's pretty close. I think if you work hard, and whether you're practicing or whatever you can do, if you can practice like you play, you'll always do better than you think you will.
Yep, I like that. Well said. And for somebody who's it's a good spot to end here, because we've had a lot of talk about people who are maybe thinking about tennis, and maybe they could probably do it, but I'm just not sure about jumping into an environment like it's such a great sport. You can play it for so long as an adult. You meet people. We talked about the social aspect, and it is. I would love to see it become such a big part of like every community around here, because it's something. People do golf. There's a million golf courses.
Yes, there are.
But I mean, there's not a million tennis clubs, and when you have good ones like yours, it's a great thing to get involved with. You meet new people, and it's just a great game.
It is, and I've told this to anybody who's ever thinking about tennis, even a little. Check us out, or check the other local club out where you live. Give it a try. Yeah. You'll be surprised how quickly you'll learn, how much fun you'll have. And I think for all of us who ever teach tennis or play tennis, we're kind of a little bit of ambassadors for the sport in some way, shape, or form, whether it's me speaking on, right now with you, or other people that are teaching someone, or if you're doing a free open house, or whatever people do, even coaching a high school team. Yeah. It's not for the money. You're doing it because you love the game. Yeah. I think anybody who wants to try tennis and has ever thought about it a little bit, give it a go. And you're going to like it.
Don't get discouraged by like early mistakes either, because it's just, once you start getting it, you get it.
You're going to get it. And once you get it, you get it forever.
Exactly. It's like I always said, playing tennis reminded me of like starting to play guitar a little bit.
Yes.
Like, it's annoying to get your fingers together, and get your fingers tough, and then learn those 3 chords, and eventually you learn 3 chords.
Once
and
you get it, you won't it.
Yeah, you can play a few band songs with those 3 chords. Very good. Well, Mike Perrotta, man, it was a pleasure to have you on. It was great to meet you here. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you for inviting me. I had fun.
I knew I would. I love talking tennis on the show. Sarah's like, I think the backstage, like, oh boy, he's having a tennis guy in. This could be a long one, but good job by our crew. Thank you guys, Sarah Blackstone, Sarah Hayden, Ryan Rothberg, our small but mighty crew here in our Newburyport NCM Hub studios. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for the last year too, as we head into the new year. You guys have been great, and like I said, small but mighty. They do all the hard stuff. I do the easy stuff and get to talk to interesting people. So, the Sarahs and Ryan, thank you all so much. For Mike, my name is Drew Moholland, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Be well, everybody.